Hello everyone, this is Miss Strong from www.missstrong.com with our fitness interview series, and today we will be interviewing an incredible woman, Rachel Elizabeth Murray. You may know her as a celebrity fitness personality, Hollywood trainer, model, actress, physique athlete, and a host of numerous seminars and a well-known boot camp in LA called Unboot Camp. Rachel has appeared on the covers of the top fitness magazines and starred in a fitness DVD for Reebok with Gaiam. If you've seen an issue of Fitness or Shape magazine, Muscle and Fitness Hers, UFC Gym, The Doctors, or Oxygen magazine, you've probably noticed this beautifully strong bombshell gracing the pages or screen. In 2011, Rachel launched a brand and a foundation called Cause Fitness. And while Rachel's resume is impressive, so is her big heart and her passion for change. Global change, lifestyle change, and change among women. She has a very wholesome, sustainable approach to building a beautiful body while also maintaining a beautiful mind and a beautiful soul. Because she's honest, she's real, and she embodies everything that Miss Strong supports amongst women. So here is to wonderful women, and here is to a wonderful cause. Rachel, Miss Strong can't thank you enough for sitting down and joining us today, and I want to take a moment before we delve into this interview to let you know how much we respect you. You're a very, very strong, multidimensional woman. You're a huge motivator for many, many women. We're very excited to speak with you. You're really going to motivate viewers. So thank you for joining us, and let's get started. We're very excited.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I can't believe I did that much. I guess it's just been a day at a time, but I'm more than honored to be here with you right now. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. So you have started a very inspirational foundation called Cause Fitness. So to start things off, why don't you tell us a little bit about the roots of your brand, what inspired you to create such a globally recognized foundation? How did you get started with that?
Well, first of all, to clarify, it's a foundation in progress. We can call it a foundation, but I don't have a nonprofit status set up yet. It's kind of just part of my brand. Cause Fitness is, it stands for a threefold mission. Cause Fitness as in physically causing fitness. It's also a call to action to inspire and cause fitness in everybody around you. So once you adopt a healthy lifestyle and make changes, positive changes in your lifestyle, it will then affect everybody around you. And so it's the ripple effect there. And then the last part is the actual cause, which is the philanthropy side, which is the eventual foundation side. Just to clarify what that is. But the first part of the question was what again?
Tell us a little bit about the roots and how it got started, your core philosophy.
Oh my gosh, I feel like every time somebody asks me questions about how I got to where I am, it's such an incredibly long story because it's
a big question. I know.
It's not one solid path. It was, it was experiences along the way. It was kind of little heart tugs that kept reoccurring. I'm like, okay, that's definitely still on my heart. I want to do that. But it really started, I guess back junior high or high school. More high school then. I went on my first missions trip with my dad to the Dominican Republic.
Oh, wow.
And I got to work with kids there. And I can't say that completely changed my life then and there. But that was my first experience with that. And I was like, okay, I definitely want to do more like this. It was fun. I helped people out. I felt useful and fulfilled at the same time. And so I knew I wanted to do more of that. I did another missions trip in 2008 to Thailand with a group from my church in Seattle, East Lake Community Church. Hey guys, what's up? And that was the world rocking trip. We went over there and we worked with a little girls' orphanage. It was unbelievable. These girls are there in this orphanage has high security just to make sure that it's really hard to adopt them because the majority of girls adopted in Thailand, Cambodia, in that area are adopted in order to be put into the sex trade.
Right.
And so when I found that out, that was I've got to get these kids out of here. I had that moment where if you've ever been on a trip like that, and I know the people I've talked to who have been on trips like this, they have that same feeling, like overwhelming urge to do something about it, and yet overwhelming feeling of helplessness.
Right.
So you're like, there's so much to do that how can I possibly make a difference? So that was 2008. At that time, I was running my own training business called iFit, Independent Fitness. Some of you may remember that from way back in the day. It was ifitpersonaltraining.com. Back in Seattle, it was very small. It was just like, okay, I think this is what I'm supposed to do at the time. Like, even training I kind of fell into because of, that's another long story, but wanting to be giving back and pursuing something greater than myself really happened that second trip. And I got back and I was like, okay, iFit's not doing it. Another very long story short, I ended up changing the name to Cause Fitness. And it was very divinely inspired. It was a moment in prayer where I was like, God, I don't know what this is. I don't know where it's going. I know I want you to be, I want this to be about you and your purpose for my life. And out of the blue, like almost interrupting me, it was like Cause Fitness. I'm like, what? I was like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. That like embodies everything I want to do. And so that's where it all got started. And I mean, if you leave with nothing else, I want you to know that Cause Fitness isn't physical fitness business at all. I mean, that's one aspect of it, but Cause Fitness is about so much more than physical. And I just changed my Twitter bio to say that because it's so much more than physical. I want people to be fit in every aspect of life, from physical fitness to relational fitness to spiritual fitness, everything in between.
Miss Strong loves that. Of course, that's kind of our core philosophy too. You're an amazing woman for that. And that is a very, very important point that we wanted to get across to viewers. We want women to understand that it's not enough to just, look hot like all us women want. You need to have a very strong mind. You need to have a very strong heart. So Cause Fitness is a very wonderful example of that. And we love it.
It's all good. Honestly, I couldn't have come up with that myself.
Well, everything happens for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
So we wanted to talk a little bit about battling challenges in life. A lot of women go through tough experiences in life, and a lot of viewers who are listening to this probably have been battling with aspects of fitness or relationships or just other things that have hit them kind of hard in life. So for women going through tough experiences in life, how did you overcome yours? You don't necessarily have to share, your deep personal story, but how do you overcome something that's very, very difficult in life?
Well, first of all, I mean, I mentioned earlier, but I'm an open book, and my story is part of my testimony, which helps change lives. So I actually see it as a positive now. Of course, in the moment, it never is positive. And so I don't want to diminish that too. If any of the listeners have gone through anything like I have, I don't think there's anything good about it. I think and I believe that good can come out of it, even the biggest evils in the world. But my story, briefly, is that I was raped in college, and before that, I was very naive. I had only had one serious relationship. In fact, I was in the middle of that serious relationship. It was a 6-year high school sweetheart situation. But I grew up very protected and very secure and very loved, and like zero family complaints. Like, they're amazing. And so everything was like American dream, kind of rose-colored glasses until that happened, and it rocked my world. Like, I suddenly was checking my reflection in every mirror, every window. It completely shattered my personal confidence, my sense of worth and value, and there was a lot of shame involved, and I thought it was my fault for the longest time, and it literally affects and affected everything. The only thing that has changed now even is that I can see it in a positive light, and I can kind of discern which of my behaviors have anything to do with the past that I had, which helps me make sense of things and like how I react. Because before I knew that, I would lash out at someone and be like, oh my gosh, that wasn't me. Like, where did that come from? And then I realized it has something to do with shame or modesty, or like something that attacked who I was before that happened, and that disrupted everything. So yeah, how I got through that was, first of all, turning to the only thing I knew to make me feel better, which was running. And I didn't know anything else about fitness at the time because my background was team sports. And what do they do to make you start off the sport to get in shape, to warm up, or any of the workouts? They all involve running. So that's all I knew. My dad was a triathlete, still is. I was a swimmer growing up, but most everything involved running. So I did that. Because I didn't have a healthy understanding of what was happening, I went the negative route in running, meaning I ran as far as I could one day. The very next day I would try to beat that. Very next day I would try to beat that and sprint up a hill. Before I knew it, this was like 7, 8, 9 miles a day. And I was crying during running, just like therapeutic, but like breakdown. It didn't help after the effect. It only helped during. And even then, it wasn't really building me back up. It wasn't helping me heal. It was just kind of an escape. And so a friend came out of the blue. I don't even keep in touch with this friend. No reason. It was just like lives moved apart. It was very weird. I could almost call him an angel. Introduced weight training to me and proper nutrition. I was hooked after the first day because it felt empowering. It felt like something that was building me up instead of breaking me down. It was something that I wanted to retreat to move forward, and it was helping me again move forward, improve instead of escape. Instead of hide, I was facing it, you know? I don't know how else to describe that other than when that happened. All I wanted to do was share that with people.
I love it. I think that's very beautiful. And thank you for sharing that story. I know you are an open book, and, you know, it's on your website, and that's a huge part of your foundation. But girls appreciate honesty from other women. So thank you.
100% agree. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so brutally honest. But
so you talk a lot about striving to improve people's self-image. And I guess the real question is how, and this is a big question too, but how can we improve our self-image? How can we promote self-love?
Mm-hmm. My first answer to most of your questions is going to be faith, because that is, bar none, it has changed my life more than anything. And it's amazing. So I'm a Christian, not in the religious sense, but in the fact that I believe that I have an actual living relationship with Jesus Christ. But that aside, because it is like my foundational answer to everything, and that would be a very boring interview. After that, I would say gratitude. Gratitude is how you start to not only appreciate everything around you, you start to appreciate who you are, and you also start to live more in the moment, which helps you appreciate everything around you, even more so than focusing on yourself. So it moves the focus outward, even if it is your external, rather than beating yourself up on the inside. And I can honestly say that with all of my clients, I try to get them to start appreciating parts about them and stop focusing on what they don't like about them, because all that's going to do is keep tearing them down. The only way they'll improve and start to make changes and towards goals is appreciating things about themselves and then gradually appreciating more and more things about themselves.
I love that answer. That's a wonderful answer. That actually relates a lot to our next question. Speaking of women kind of beating themselves up. So I'm in college. I'm always around girls in college who are under the impression that, you know, they need to adhere to a strict diet. They need to punish themselves. If they eat a piece of cake, they need to go run on the treadmill at the rec center for the rest of the day. Obviously, that's a very unhealthy relationship with themselves and with food. What did you say? You've been there. We've all been there. But so many girls are unhappy. They're uncomfortable with their bodies. So what are a couple simple tips, since you are a trainer, what are some simple tips you can give someone, maybe a college girl or a woman in general, for working towards loving themselves and not having that unhealthy relationship with food and exercise?
It's a loaded question.
That is a really long question.
Wow. Okay. So, I don't even know where to start. First of all, I was that person. I was that girl. So I've been there. I totally get it. I would say if I were to look back and talk to the college me, I wish that I would have learned how to make fitness a lifestyle as a priority over using fitness to affirm myself, if that makes sense. I used to jump on the elliptical, do the same thing, like, crap, I ate this, crap, I drank this, I partied 2 hours less, whatever it was. I used to go to the gym with that mindset, like, I'm not good enough until I do this. I must have to do this because I did this. Like, it was exactly like you said. It was punishment. It was discipline in the worst sense. There's good discipline too, is what I'm trying to say. But honestly, it took some years of experience. But I think that, in any part of life, I think it's so learn from people who have been there already so you don't waste your time. But then also I know it's hard in the moment. So my advice would also be to give yourself permission to do what's best for yourself versus other people. I know that guys were a big influence for me. My sorority house was a big peer pressure influence on me. There was a girl who was a senior in my house who had this just ripped 6-pack abs. And while I admired her a lot for that, it was also something that was like, it was motivational and also destructive.
Right. Because you would compare yourself to her, or you would, yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say next. It's like, I think the problem happens when we start comparing ourselves to people rather than, again, this goes back to last question. Like, learn to appreciate your individuality. Learn to appreciate the parts of yourself that you absolutely love. And then start to look at fitness as improving your whole self that you have to live with for the rest of your life. Because you're never going to be somebody else. What can you do to improve the body you have to live in?
That's great advice. And speaking of, since we're kind of heading in the gym direction, speaking of girls punishing themselves or beating themselves up on the treadmill, we heard you hate cardio from a previous interview. You were very honest and open about that. So what are your opinions on, you were a bikini competitor, so in the whole, the bodybuilding world, people are doing massive amounts of cardio, an hour and a half every day. What are your opinions on a bunch of cardio for girls to tone up or to get in shape?
Let me choose my words carefully. Cardio is essential to good health, but the amount and the type are where it gets hairy. And I personally, based on experience, based on science, based on studying, and based on a lot of things, don't believe that copious amounts of endurance training are necessary or beneficial to long-term fat loss goals and maintenance and optimal health.
I agree with that.
So optimal health meaning more than body fat or body composition. That includes mental health. That includes thyroid health. That everything. With my experience, post-competition dieting, training for shows that were too close when I should have given myself more time. Cardio can be so dangerous. You can completely ruin your metabolism by doing too much cardio while dieting. You have to have a plan for after a show. I mean, that gets into a whole nother conversation, but just keeping it to cardio, I would advise training for the long run, which means you want to save your knees. I'm 31 years old. Trust me when I say it doesn't take long to ruin your knees. I used to run all the time, like I said, like 8 miles a day. I just be careful. Running is not. Let me rephrase or start over with that. I just want to make a point that mass media focuses on running because people know how to run. And so they're like, well, we just want to get people off the couch. What can we tell them to do? Run. Let's teach them how to do the things that are going to keep them healthy for life that are, and make it sustainable rather than say, let's teach you how to run because we don't know how to get you to do anything else. I feel like there's a laziness there, and it's not the whole truth. So that's all I'll say with that. I get on a soapbox.
I love it. What are some of those sustainable ways? I mean, I know you're an advocate for HIIT training. So for viewers who don't know what that is, the high intensity interval training.
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned in previous interviews that you're a big fan of that. Do you see that as a sustainable way to kind of stay lean, stay fit while conducive to building muscle with the right diet and program?
I absolutely think so. Now, I also want to make a note that endurance training intensity is what I'm against. I think walking is one of the best things you can do. You can walk for hours and not be breaking yourself down. Walking is fantastic for stress relief, etc., etc., etc. It's great on your joint, whatever. So that is awesome. But besides that, HIIT training is awesome. You can do it with exercises that require weight bearing. You can do it with exercises that are easy on your joints. You can do it with pretty much any exercise. And it basically combines the benefits of resistance training and the benefits of cardio that is not breaking you down, which, I'm sure you know a little bit about, or your readers know about anaerobic versus aerobic cardio. And so I'm a huge advocate of anaerobic cardio, which is what HIIT is, which is what resistance training is. Creates an oxygen deficit that you have to make up so your metabolism is raised for up to 48 hours after your workout. That's what I'm about. So it doesn't have to be on a machine. It can be plyometrics. It can be lifting weights faster. It can be any number of those things. But doing that in a shorter period of time and letting your body recover, I'm about that.
We're about that too. I mean, and that's part of having a healthy mind because, if you're on the treadmill day after day after day, that kind of mentally drains you as well. So mixing it up, getting fresh air, that contributes a lot to having a hot body, as we can say. So what are some of the biggest and most common mistakes that you see with women trying to lose fat or lose weight?
Number one, in almost every client...
this question. You're ready to answer this question.
I'm beyond ready. This is my favorite question to answer because it's so misinformed. people don't eat enough, which
Thank
is crazy to me. It's crazy because I'll have people who come in, they're like, well, I eat healthy. I'm like, okay, what does that look like? They're like, and they name off all these foods. And I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. You're eating salads, you're eating lean proteins, you're eating, healthy fats and complex carbs. And then they show me their food log and they're at like 800 calories a day up to, max 1200 calories a day. And I'm like, girl, no wonder you're gaining weight. Like your body's freaking out saying, I don't know if I'm going to get fed, so I might as well hold on to body fat. And in the meantime, you're breaking down muscle, which is what contributes to maintaining low body fat in the first place. So you're sacrificing active tissue to hold on to dormant tissue, which is just going to make things worse the older you get. So eat, I would say, find out what your BMR is, your basal metabolic rate. That's how many calories your body is burning just to maintain bodily functions. Kind of factor in your activity level and eat somewhere between there to start. And you have to assess it every couple weeks just to make sure that your consistency is the right calorie level for you. But never make giant jumps in deficit or surplus. That's where it gets messy. So
kind of jacks up your body.
Yeah. But always never eat below your BMR is what I tell everybody. Just make sure it's above your BMR.
So number one misconception, girls thinking that they can eat less to weigh less.
Yes.
Basically. I would agree with that.
Yes.
So also a lot of girls are intimidated to step into the gym, right? To lift weights. That's a really big thing with Miss Strong. That's what we're trying. It's a whole movement. Strong is sexy. Get in the gym. Lift heavy weights, girls. Lift weights. So a lot of girls are intimidated to step into the gym. Your advice would be what?
I mean, I agree with you 100%. I know it's up to personal opinion to assess this, but I always tell people, I ask them to tell me what they think of me. And obviously some people aren't going to tell me their full honest opinion because they're in front of me. They don't, want to feel judgy, but I'm like, be honest. Am I big? Am I a large person?
Am I bulky?
I'm not a very big person. I mean, I feel like I'm more dense than a lot of people, and I might weigh more than a lot of people in my, I guess, height bracket. But the fact of the matter is, my body composition, I'm leaner than most people who weigh the same amount because I lift as heavy as most of the guys I know. And when somebody sees me squatting as much as I do, or deadlifting as much as I do, or bench pressing, don't be intimidated of that, because as a living example, and I'm sure you are as well, you're a tiny, feminine-looking girl, but you are strong and you're about strength. Lifting heavy weights will only help you improve as long as it's in the right form with the right recovery in place. And that includes eating right and all of that. So I say, it can only improve your physique to lift heavier.
I agree. So girls, don't be intimidated to get into the gym.
Yeah.
Girls should.
Now, I do have to make a note, though, that I do know, I personally know women who have more of an endomorph type of body, which is you were built like a gymnast. You're just solid, and your dream is to be a tiny girl. First of all, first thing, I would say go back to the gratitude thing. Find things about yourself you love, because beating yourself up is never healthy. But then after that, there are ways with diet and training to get yourself towards that goal. So I'm not saying everyone should lift like a bodybuilder, but you should always lift beyond your capacity and your rep range. But the rep range and type of weight training, that's where things change with the goal. So
that's great.
Not everybody should train the same, but everybody should weight train, if that makes sense.
Yes, but everybody is individual, right?
And don't be afraid because it will not make you heavy and bulky.
I think it's good for girls to hear that. It's very good that to hear that from another woman, because people say it all the time and nobody listens. So people will appreciate hearing that. Let's ask you, since there's always talk about wanting to look good. That's the main focus for women, is wanting to look good for prom, or wanting to look good for a boy, or just wanting to look good for other girls when they're on campus. What's your ideal physique? I know you're not about just the body and looking good, but do you train to achieve your ideal body? Do you train for performance? Do you train specifically for a certain physique?
It's changed over the years. When I first started, I literally just wanted to look better, and I wanted to, and I'm not saying that for the person, I wanted to look good for myself, because I knew with my business, that was the best business card for me, is if you're a trainer, if you're out of shape, no one's going to train with you. And that's just being honest. Like, you're a walking testimony of what you do and what you know. So that was my first goal. After I started competing, getting more deep into the fitness industry, I started noticing some of the flaws. And I'm not saying flaws in people per se, which I'm sure there are too, but I'm talking about the industry as a whole. And more recently, it's not about what to look like, but how to help people find their value outside of physical appearance. And I'm not saying it's bad to train to look better. It's not at all. The problem comes when that is the only thing you want to do, is look better. Because then I know it's a dead giveaway that there's something going on in the heart level, like something deeper. Because if your only goal and obsession is to look hot, that's not only going to be, like I said, a dead giveaway that something's going on the inside, but it's going to push people away too. Not only, like, girlfriends won't want to hang out because they're like, ew, she's all about herself, or you're intimidating. Guys are going to see right through that and be like, A, they're going to use you, number one, or they're not interested because they don't want somebody all about themselves. They want somebody, to kind of, to be in relationship with. And if you're constantly focused on yourself, how can you be giving? So you're either going to be used, or you're going to use somebody without even knowing it. So I would say my goals now are to maintain somewhere where I feel comfortable and confident in clothes. If I get it's a little different for me just because my profession is on camera or behind a camera at all. On camera meaning video, and then behind a camera like modeling. So I have to be ready for jobs that come up. So I have to stay leaner than the majority of people have to. So that's a goal for me too. It's not like, oh, I just want to look hot. I'm like, this is my profession. I have to be ready, and that's just being professional. Right. So there's that aspect. But otherwise, like, I love seeing what my body can do. So yes, it is more about performance now than it used to be, which makes training a lot more fun. I like Instagram for the fact that you see all these like calisthenic workouts, and you see people doing like the human flag stuff, and that's so inspiring to me. I'm like, or these amazing yoga girls who are doing these crazy poses, and you're like, how on earth is their body doing that? I kind of want to try. I started doing handstands because people were doing handstands on Instagram. I'm like, I got to figure out how to do that.
So you always like challenging yourself. You always like trying something new.
Yes. So I think that's where the shift happens. It used to be about looking better, and now it's about being better. Just
multidimensional, like we said when we introduced you. You're a multidimensional person, and that's
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do want to ask a question, because you mentioned that in your answer where you're talking about being behind a camera, being photo shoot ready. So a lot of girls look at magazines and they see these women on the fitness covers. You have been probably one of the women that they've looked at. They see these women, great bodies, and the women who are on those covers usually do year-round, look great. But you and I both know that for photo shoots, there are sometimes some things that you have to do in order to lose some water weight or to look a certain way. You know, you're posing a certain way. So I guess my question is, how can we help women understand that? A lot of girls look at that and they want that and they want to go to extremes to get that, but they don't understand that that's not real. It is real, but it isn't real. If you understand what I'm saying, and I assume you do.
Well, first of all, you just said it. It's not. It is real. It's an actual person. They actually got their body to look like that. But the fact is that's not sustainable. They don't look like that all the time. Even the most fit people you see, if you, let's put it this way, if you see someone who's shredded in photo ready shape every day, they're doing something illegal. That's just, I mean, being quite frank, the human body, specifically the female human body, is not made to be that lean all the time. It just isn't. So you're either rail thin because you never eat, or you're doing endurance training, like you're an endurance athlete, or you're training at an Olympic level, or something where your body has been trained to do this all the time. That's the only exception to the rule. And even then, like, those athletes tend to hold a lot of water because their body is trained to be holding onto a lot of water in order to fuel their sport.
Right.
But that aside, like, now that you know that it is not sustainable, I would personally like to lose 5 pounds and maintain that. So I'm at a place where I have been pulling back a little bit from the industry, just kind of like reassess and see where I want to go personally with my career. And I'm happy with what I look like right now. Absolutely. But if I want to pursue more of that, which I do, I need to get back about 5 pounds leaner. So not a big deal. But once I do that, I still won't look like what I looked like for a photo shoot for the cover of Fitness Magazine, or, you know, whatever I'm doing. That's competition ready, and that requires a diet and water and training manipulation, which requires up to 2 weeks of prep. Some people could do it in less if they're already lean, but you're still going to hold on to water, which makes your body look soft. It doesn't matter how lean you are, you still won't have the definition that comes with the drying out process, which is all water manipulation and carb manipulation, which is very dangerous hormonally. So if you do that, make sure you have a top-notch certified professional, not just somebody who's competed before. I've seen a lot of people completely ruin their adrenal system, their hormones, their metabolism by trusting someone who said they knew what they were doing, but didn't have the credential to back it up. Even people with certifications can do crap too. So just be really careful in who you're trusting.
That's very good advice. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, a couple of the questions we were going to ask, we've covered a lot. I'm going to skip through a couple. Well, we've kind of hit on them in other answers. But let's see. I do kind of want to know, and this relates to our last question. You live in Hollywood, or you train. You're a trainer in Hollywood. You live in LA.
I live in Hollywood.
Yes, you live in Hollywood. So how has living in Hollywood? You're also an actress and a model. How is that kind of being in Hollywood, in the, you know, around these people all the time, in the media, around cameras all the time? How has that influenced your personal body image, or has it? Have you been able to just, you know, stay strong and solid on your beliefs, or has it kind of sometimes impacted you?
I think a lot of it is intuition, to be honest. I pray before every job I do, just kind of like refocus, like ask for discernment, ask to know, like, if something is off, that you'll sense it. And I think women in particular are blessed with that sixth sense. Like, we know if something's a little hey, this doesn't feel quite right. I'm not sure what it is yet. Sorry, there's a helicopter overhead if you hear that, but welcome to LA. LAPD. But I would say it is very much intuition, but just use common sense too. And this is just about safety, really. I know there's another part of your question, like, has it changed my perception? A little bit. I just know from experience and intuition that there are a lot of creeps here. There's people here trying to use everybody. So the sooner you realize that, if you're pursuing this career, if you're pursuing entertainment in Hollywood or any of the other big cities, just go in with the understanding. And I'm not trying to say be jaded, but be very cautious, like overly cautious. It's better to be safe than sorry. And I am a fearless woman, so I'm not a worrywart. Like, I will try anything. I will pretty much do anything, but I'm not going to do anything at the expense of my integrity. Does that make sense? So I'll do anything as long as it doesn't mar my reputation or cost me my integrity.
Absolutely. And we respect that about you. So
Thank you. Yeah, bottom line, no, stand for. Just absolutely, what do you stand for? Where's the line? And don't ever cross it.
Know yourself and stand by yourself, always.
Yeah.
Who is your biggest motivator?
Ooh. In the industry or personally?
Oh, I got a question thrown back at me. Let's say either one, whatever you feel like sharing. It could be personal, yeah, or both.
My grandma and my dad are my biggest personal motivators. My mom is absolutely amazing too, so she motivates me on the side of like personal and spiritual. My dad and my grandma are my biggest influencers in my fitness pursuits. My grandma is the most resilient and tenacious woman I've ever met, almost to the point of crazy in a good way. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. She's in her 70s and is wondering why her body's starting to shut down. She's like, why can't I do these things that I did when I was, 40? I'm like, she forgets how old she is, which is awesome. But I think that is really inspiring. She's also a past Senior Olympics gold medal swimmer.
Wow.
And then my dad, again, I said this before, but he's an annual triathlete and master swimmer. So they both inspire me to no end. I'm like, how do you guys keep doing this? But in the industry, I'm inspired by, in the entertainment industry, it would be actresses who don't compromise their integrity. Hard to find. I don't actually know if I can name one right off the bat right now, but I have had people in the past that I looked up to and then found, I'm not going to say any names, but I've found out later that they did end up compromising themselves. But people like that are people that inspire me. Men included. If you are any person that stands by what you believe in and you don't, alter that at all, that's awesome.
I like you.
Exactly. In the fitness world, I'd say Jamie Eason, Amber Elizabeth. Those are my top two girls. Tosca Reno, even. Amber and Tosca are very much similar in their belief system. They both ended up writing a blog around basically the same time that I wrote my blog called When Did Fitness Become Unhealthy? Which is about Fitspo and the dangers of falling into that selfie world. And
I'm actually going to have to, we'll share a link below for readers below this interview. I'm going to have to post that on the Strong.
Please do.
Yeah, we will put the link to that underneath this video. I'm sorry to interrupt for a second, but everybody check down there.
So the same time I put that up, like within a week or two, there were 2 other blogs, one of them by Tosca and one of them by Amber Elizabeth. And they were both basically saying the exact same thing I had said. And these are 2 women who have been inspiring me since basically day one. And so it was just so encouraging to see, like, they're still all about the same thing. So I absolutely look up to those women. And then Jamie Eason has been, like, since day one of the sweetest, most selfless people in the industry. I know she has a rough past that she's willing to talk about and say, like, hey, this is how you avoid doing this because this wasn't good. Images last online forever. You know what I mean? Like, just be careful with what you do. Again, it goes back to know your line, don't cross it. But she is by far one of the sweetest, most amazing people I've ever met. So, yeah, those 3 women.
It's great. It's great to surround yourself with people like that. So that's wonderful.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful you have people like that in your life. Rachel, we don't want to take up too much of your time, so I'm going to ask just a couple more questions. You know, we're kind of hitting our hour mark, and we don't want you to.
I'm with you. I will completely take the responsibilities.
So let's ask regarding motivation. We just talked about motivators. So you're in the gym, or you're running, or you're lifting, and the workout's getting very, very hard. It's intense. It's hurting. It's burning. We all know how that feels. How do you push through that? What is going through your head? Because a lot of girls and guys, you know, they'll be training and it'll hurt, so they'll stop. They'll think this hurts. I'm gonna quit. How do you not quit?
First of all, I think there's a special gene that trainers and athletes have that I just don't know how to explain that. We're very sadistic in a way. Like, we just enjoy that kind of pain, and that's so strange, but I've kind of always had that mindset. But that said, when I have clients who don't know how to push through that, I ask them to think about how they'll feel leaving the gym if they didn't accomplish that, and how much better they will feel if they do accomplish that, and how much more motivated they'll feel when they accomplish that. So it's a matter of, like, what's it going to cost you? Like, is it worth it to push through it now or do an extra workout later because you half-assed it on this one?
Right.
So, and then I think about, like, how much this one, this, like, I don't know, 10 minutes of sprints is going to improve my physique in the long run, like 48 hours later, versus, like, if I just kind of do one sprint, it's not going to do much for me, you know? So pushing through that, my motivation is I have to push past that threshold of difficulty in order to make any real changes.
Right.
I always tell people, you have to challenge it to change it. You have to. Your body will adapt to anything. You gotta challenge it to change it.
Perfect. If you had to give just one single, simple piece of advice to every single woman on this planet, what would you tell them?
Find the joy in the moment. Be grateful.
And be grateful.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of the same thing, just worded differently, but yeah.
I love it. That's beautiful. And to wrap up the interview, I don't want to wrap up the interview, but
this is great. Thank you so much for this.
Absolutely. So can you let readers know what's up and coming with Cause Fitness? Or I know you do lead you lead boot camps. You can even discuss that a little bit. The boot camps that you lead in LA, or the seminars. You host a lot of events. So what's kind of new and upcoming for you? What can people be involved in?
Okay. Little tough. I would say immediately follow me on social media, because I'm kind of in a interim process, like figuring out what's next. I've been in pre-production for a TV show for 2 years, so I can't say this is absolutely happening right now, because I honestly don't know when it's actually going to happen. So that's happening, but I can't tell you to get too excited about it because I have no idea when it's going to happen.
We'll keep waiting for it. We'll look forward to it.
Keep on hanging on. But yeah, keep in touch with me, social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And then other than that, my unboot camp is kind of also on hold because I'm looking for a way to make it better in a better location. I need to figure out a way to get to find, wow, how do I even say this? I need to find a way to get people to commit to it before it's the day of. I don't know how to do that in this city. It's impossible. It's not impossible. It can happen. It will happen.
Welcome to LA once again.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh, I'll totally be there. Okay, no. So I'll have either 5 people or 20 people or anywhere in between, and I have no idea who to count on. So I want to figure out a way to make it more consistent. But until then, it's kind of like on hold too. But you can find out more about that on my blog. You can subscribe to my emails because you get a Motivation Monday email. You get a free workout on Wednesday, and usually a free recipe on Friday. So.
And this is all from your main website, which is
causefitness.com,
which is underneath as well. All the links to your social media sites are below.
And you get a free cookbook when you sign up.
Is this an ebook? A cookbook ebook?
It's a cookbook ebook. It's over 20 pages of all my clean recipes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so all these links are going to be included in this interview.
Yes.
Wow, lots of information for readers. So there are no excuses for people. They have all of the resources right now. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you are a very, very motivational, grounded, wholesome woman, and that means a lot. And Miss Strong really wants to promote real, raw, relatable fitness advice. We want women and girls to be empowered, and we want, just globally, we want women to understand how to build each other up and how to build themselves up inside, outside of the gym, and you are doing that. So
very much. I think what you're doing is amazing. Don't stop.
You don't stop either.
Thank you so much.